Three best friends, Emily, Rachel, and Sophie, were inseparable. They were students at the University of Washington, and every summer, they planned a getaway together. This year, they decided to spend a week at Blood Creek Cabin, an old, abandoned lodge deep in the forests of northwest Washington. The cabin was over 100 years old and surrounded by dark legends. Locals whispered about a demonic woman, a faceless witch who fed on the blood of young women. But Emily didn't believe in ghost stories. She was fearless, logical, and always dismissed superstition. They arrived just after sunset. The long shadows of the forest stretched over the narrow path, and Sophie felt like someone was watching them through the trees. Emily laughed it off. "Relax, guys. It's just an old, creepy cabin, nothing more." Inside, the furniture was rotting, the walls damp, and there were strange reddish stains on the floor, as if someone had slaughtered meat there. Rachel wrinkled her nose and whispered, "This place smells like something died here." That first night, Rachel had a terrifying dream. A woman, floating above the forest floor, face completely dark, just two empty black sockets for eyes, slowly moved toward her. When Rachel woke up, her throat was dry, and there were 3 black finger marks around her neck. The next day, Emily and Rachel went to collect firewood behind the cabin. Sophie stayed inside, feeling uneasy. When they returned, the front door was open. Sophie was gone. On the bed, a few drops of blood. And on the wall, scratched with what looked like fingernails, were the words, "She took her." Emily ran into the woods calling Sophie's name. Rachel tried calling the police, but there was no signal. They spent the rest of the day searching. Nothing. As night fell, Rachel started to break down. She said she could hear Sophie whispering from behind the walls, from the trees, even from inside her own head. That night, Rachel heard Sophie calling her name, softly, sweetly. She opened the door and stepped outside into the dark. Emily followed moments later, and only heard Rachel scream. Then, silence. Emily was alone now. She locked herself in the cabin, clutching a cross necklace and a can of lighter fluid. At midnight, she heard tapping on the window, then pounding on the back wall. When she turned around, she saw her, a woman, dressed in flowing black, hair dragging across the floor, face covered in shadowy mist, blood streaming from where her eyes should have been. In one hand, Rachel's lifeless head. Emily acted on instinct. She lit the flame and held the cross into the figure's chest. A shriek exploded through the forest. Trees shook, darkness cracked, smoke, fire, screams, and then stillness. At dawn, a local hiker found Emily barefoot and trembling at the edge of the road. Her body was scratched, her face pale, and she was repeating just one thing: "She took them." They screamed, but no one came. The police searched the cabin. Nothing was found. No blood, no bodies, no message on the wall, except one phrase, painted freshly in red above the fireplace: "One survived. Not again." Emily was admitted to a psychiatric hospital in Seattle, where she remains under observation. She doesn't speak much, but every night, she wakes up screaming, because she still sees them. Sophie and Rachel, standing in the dark woods, calling her back. "Come back, join us." Note: this story is based on the 2001 Blood Creek incident report, allegedly kept sealed in Washington State Police archives. Public access to the area is now restricted. Some believe it's for safety. Others say she's still there. The Black Hollow Witch. A true and terrifying American story. Emily, Jessica and Brooke, three best friends from a small American town called Redwood, were inseparable since childhood. Even after high school, their friendship remained just as deep and unbreakable. One day, Jessica found an old, dusty book in the town's library. It detailed the legend of the Black Hollow Forest just outside Redwood, where, centuries ago, a woman named Elvira was accused of witchcraft and burned alive by the townspeople. Before dying, Elvira had screamed a curse, "I will return and destroy every bloodline of those who killed me." The girls laughed at the story. Jessica suggested they go explore the forest and record a real witch hunt video for their vlog. On a cold October night, while the rest of the town celebrated Halloween, the three friends set off toward the dark woods. They parked the car and followed a narrow trail into the trees. The air was silent, the leaves rustled underfoot, and an owl hooted somewhere in the distance. After walking about a mile, they reached an old, stone well, the same one mentioned in the book. Jessica leaned over to look inside, when suddenly a shadow emerged behind her. Brooke screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the woods. Jessica's body lifted into the air, suspended by something unseen. Then, in an instant, she dropped, lifeless. Her face was twisted in terror, as if she'd seen something no human ever should. Emily and Brooke tried to run, but the forest seemed to shift. The trees moved. The same long, dark shadow chased them. Red eyes glowing, hair like black smoke, and its mouth dripping with blood. Elvira had returned. Brooke pulled out her flashlight and shined it back, but it did nothing. The shadow went straight through her. Her scream echoed, then faded. Silence. Brooke was gone. Only Emily remained. Crying and trembling, Emily reached for the small pendant around her neck, a cross filled with holy water, gifted by her grandmother. Somehow, she knew this was her only hope. As the shadow closed in, Emily pressed the cross to its chest. A scream unlike anything she'd ever heard pierced the air. A thousand voices crying at once. The ground shook. Blood dripped from the trees. The witch burst into flames and dissolved into ashes. Emily passed out. When she woke up, she was lying at the edge of the forest. The well was gone. No signs of Brooke, Jessica, or the witch. Nothing remained. It was as if it had all vanished. Back in town, no one believed her. The police found no evidence. The book had disappeared. The case was marked as 2 missing girls. But Emily knew it had all been real. Even today, she hears their final screams in her nightmares. And every Halloween night, she sleeps with the pendant under her pillow, because deep down, she knows Elvira's soul might not be truly gone. Note: according to the Redwood Police Department's official report, Jessica and Brooke went missing in October 2016. Their bodies were never recovered. Emily's testimony is still filed under unexplained paranormal cases. She said, "The Haunting of Blackwood Manor." This story dates back to the late 1970s, when a young couple, Sarah and John, moved into an ancient mansion called Blackwood Manor in the small Californian town of Redwoods. The mansion had been vacant for years, and many terrifying stories circulated about it. Locals said a witch lived there who preyed on anyone brave enough to enter. Sarah and John dismissed these stories as mere rumors and bought the mansion for a low price. They thought they could fix it up and turn it into a beautiful home. But as soon as they set foot in the mansion, a series of strange occurrences began. At night, they would hear footsteps on the stairs, as if someone was walking up and down. Sometimes they felt cold drafts, even when the windows were closed. One night, Sarah went to the kitchen for water and felt as if someone was standing behind her. She turned around but saw no one, yet she noticed a sharp, putrid smell in the room. The next day, John found some old books in the library that contained the mansion's history. They detailed the Blackwood family, who had lived in the mansion decades earlier. The youngest daughter of this family, Eleanor, was known as the Black Witch. It was said that she practiced dark magic and tormented her villagers. One day, she mysteriously disappeared and was never seen again. Locals believed her spirit haunted the mansion. As the days passed, the intensity of the events increased. One night, Sarah was lying in bed when she felt someone kneeling on her. She opened her eyes and saw a shadow above her chest, which looked like the blurry face of an elderly woman. Her eyes were deep and empty, and her face held expressions of hatred and rage. Sarah shrieked and sat up, but John simply dismissed it as a bad dream. One evening, John was working in his home office when he felt someone place a hand on his shoulder. He turned around, but no one was there. Suddenly, an old picture appeared on his computer screen, showing a woman with disheveled hair and lifeless, glass-like eyes. It was Eleanor's picture. A cold shiver ran down John's spine, and he felt his heart stop. The very next day, Sarah developed a fever, and her condition worsened. She dreamt of Eleanor, who told her to leave the mansion, or she would never find peace. Sarah and John realized they had to leave. They somehow arranged to sell the mansion and left immediately. Even today, stories are told about Blackwood Manor. People say that screams can be heard from there at night, and a woman's shadow can be seen peering from the windows. The people of Redwood still hesitate to go near the mansion, as they believe Eleanor's spirit is still there, waiting for its next victim.